And the Right Honorable Raila Odinga's name is there. We understand very well that it's more or less like a scramble if you'd want to look at it.
Yes.
And we have very many African, countries as well presenting their very own. China, you mentioned very well,
yes.
away from the United States or many other superpowers came on board to take the place of the United States, especially in Africa.
Yes.
Do you suppose then we are likely to see that out of this, other superpowers, China, for instance, coming on board to perhaps sponsor other candidates, at the expense of what it is that we would be pushing and advocating for as Kenya? So
one of the strategic advantages I mentioned of having a superpower's attention is there's the sort of almost a jealousy of sorts that the other superpowers develop. So when we were with the United States and they played hard to get and they played tough and really played hardball.
We had China on this
We
side.
went to China and then China, came with all these deals and unfortunately loans. I wish there were grants, but they came with loans that were, almost unbelievable terms, like up to 80% sort of, financing that was easy. And then now the US is jealous. And that's why I'm saying if the leaders were wise and strategic, they could play this to their advantage because you have all the superpowers with your attention. You have the European Union, which is now separate from the country that colonized us, which is Britain because of Brexit. So you have a lot of Western powers interested in engaging with you. You have a seat at the table with all of them. And now the US has elevated Kenya to a point where we are getting state visits on an election year with a lot of goodies on the table. So certainly what I foresee is countries like China now coming to balance that, just like the reverse happened. Is unfortunately it's like one of those jealousies that happens in some relationships. So where somebody leaves this person and then this person just goes and prospers and then they see, oh, they have somebody else and I need to get back into the game. It's kind of that sort of natural human need to feel like there's a vacuum here, this person stepped in, I need to go there and outdo them. And now when they are outdoing each other, we would be having those chips to play at the table.
Do we have leaders? Do we have leaders that are capable of playing that card and playing it right? We have seen the Musalia Mudavadi has accompanied the president's majority leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, as well. And I mean, basically those ones that have gone and even the ones that are left behind, are they capable of negotiating this? So one of the things I said earlier, even as we talk about our international partners and how they perceive us, we really need to look at ourselves in the mirror because one of Kenya's biggest, Achilles heel is corruption. The second one is tribal politics. We should have matured as a democracy now to be issue-based in terms of our politics, so that instead of this typical nonsense we have, people from this corner, people from that corner, instead of looking at all of us as Kenyans and knowing we are a nation and then electing our leaders out of competence, out of their capabilities, out of their abilities, out of their experience, out of their wisdom, out of merit. So had Kenya been a country where all the leaders that are on the table were elected by merit based on issues, then your answer would be 100%. We would have leaders that are capable. So I would take it back to the electorate and ask them, what kind of leaders are you electing? How are you electing them? Does somebody come and bribe you and buy your soul with, some unga and a few shillings and, get the youth from your area? The young people really have to think hard about how they get used in this process because we are the majority in this country. And had we been as serious as the Wazee, sorry to call them that, and, some of the leaders in the country are over 80 years old. And we are saying, had the youth being serious about this process of electing leadership, we would have the best of the best. And Kenya has so many competent leaders. Kenya has so many so many Kenyans have been heads of these global bodies out of merit and sheer competence. So the answer to your question is the day Kenya transitions from tribal politics, from petty politics, from some of these factional politics based on region and religion and tribe and all that, yes, to business
sort of minded to more serious business of conducting the governance of this country based on the merits, based on issues, so that we have an issue-based politics, then that will be the game changer, because the people we'll have at the front will be a meritocracy that is based on, these are technocrats, these are bureaucrats, these are people with experience, these are people with leadership skills, these are managerial gurus, these are people who are the best of the best that Kenya has to offer. So